These things are in your post agreement. And I feel that you all need to know what's in here. Because if you don't know, and then we just go out and I just go and burn your money like that, okay, then you have a right to be upset at me because I did not get it out. We talk about transparency. We talk about it comes out of everybody's mouth, every citizen. We want transparency. Well, good googly woogly, you're getting it.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there anything in there that's going to pay me for my well when it gets contaminated?
I have not seen. Hold on, folks. Hold on. I'm not understanding well. I'm going to use my dad's words. Read my lips. Understanding well. Okay. Nobody in here wants a landfill. No one wants a landfill. Hear that really well. I'm telling you what's in this host agreement.
Well, I was just asking if there was anything in there.
I answered the question. No, there's nothing in here.
And I would ask, I would ask at this time if everybody would hold their questions, let everybody make statements. We are definitely going to open it up for questions for everybody. Okay?
No, there isn't. Okay? And for those of you that are here that don't live here in Precinct 3 or here in Prairie View, let me educate you to something else. This city right here have 2 major landfills in it. I live between both of them. So no, I don't want a landfill in my backyard. They're already there. You have 1 major landfill behind this university. You have another major landfill on the inner Riches Road. And then we got that big kahuna down there on 359. So Precinct 3 is bombarded with landfills. Okay? He said hold your question till the end, Rick, and then I'll answer it at that time.
Can you just hold, can you wait till the end?
Okay? Whether they're regulated or not, I don't know. But they're here. They're here. Is my water contaminated or not? We used to have a well. Now we have city water. Sometimes when the city water come out, I wonder. Okay? So my sole purpose is for you all to know what's in this host agreement. Whether you like it or you don't like it. But know what's in here. Because one thing I'm going to do as a commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things that we have to get done in this county. We already have an assessment that we've done with 14 buildings in this county that are really in bad state, that need to be repaired, replaced, or redone. And I'm going to come to you at one form or another asking you about your taxes, about a certificate of obligation, about a bond to get these things done. And when I come to you, have in mind that we've already used money to settle this situation. Okay? We got a jail that we must have. Okay? Now, it doesn't say that we have to have a landfill, but it sure does say, the legislation sure does say that we have to have a jail. Okay? And if any of you have not visited our jail here in Waller County, I invite you, and I'm pretty sure the sheriff will invite you to go visit that jail. They're doing whatever they can to keep that thing going. But guess what? Them rolling the dice to try to keep it going is running out on it. We've done a feasibility on that. The lowest amount that we've come across on that is $20 million, folks, for a jail. So these things have to be done. So once again, I didn't put these numbers in here. I'm just letting you know that these numbers are in here. And you that live in Precinct 3, you make the determination if you want me to vote this thing up or you want me to vote this thing down. I'm one person.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnett. Commissioner
Well, I think the judge would be more than happy to have you visit. I don't think he wants you to stay. just strictly visitors pass. No, I mean, you know, and I'm glad that everybody's here, and I think, you know, it's good that we have these talks. Me personally, I'm disappointed that the other 2 commissioners weren't here or haven't had anything like this, but it gets us talking. We're not always going to agree. You know, that's part of it, but at least we have the conversation. Commissioner Barnett touched on some of the numbers, and It's a lot of money. You know, nobody's going to argue that in a county that we could use it. But more so than anything, that host agreement is the only leverage the county has if the TCEQ grants them that permit, which the county has no say-so in TCEQ permitting or not permitting the permit. We don't have the say-so in that. That host agreement is the only leverage we do have at this point. If we agree to get rid of it through the settlement, we will have no leverage. It says in there, it requires it to be a certain height. Without that host agreement, they can make it as tall as they want to. And the county cannot say anything about it. They can make it larger if they would like to. Right now, that host agreement says it must be 250 acres or less. They have a contract for, I believe, 700 acres? Yes. An option for 700 acres out there. The host agreement says they can't make it more than 250 acres. They could make it possibly bigger. That's the only insurance policy we have. If we throw that out the window, Commissioner's Court has absolutely zero say-so in what the Pintail does with that site. So let's throw the dollar figure out of there. And one thing we can all agree on, that nobody wants this landfill. Anybody that says that there's a single member of that court that wants it is blowing smoke up your skirt. That's just not true. But rescinding that host agreement or the ordinance has zero bearing on TCEQ's decision. The settlement's just that, it's a settlement between Cal and the city of Hempstead and the county. TCEQ is the only body, only governing body that will allow the landfill to happen or to deny it. Not the county. If it was as easy as that, my God, we'd have put that on the agenda first day of the year and all voted on it, 100% unanimous. But that's protection. I think everybody hopes that TCEQ finds a good reason not to. When it comes to the water wells, again, and I asked Mr. Frazier, and he'll probably hopefully vouch for me when I asked him, if there's a study out there that says that it's detrimental to the water and the aquifers of this county, have you seen it? The study? The actual study? You?
I haven't seen any studies.
They won't let them on the property to do a study.
Well, but they could go around it and look at the general. The only study I've seen, and Mr. Frazier challenged me first day of court in open public comment to do my own research, and I have. There's only one study that I've seen that's available. And again, I asked him if he has another one, and I was sincere in asking that. Somebody show it to us.
Would you please also continue with our conversation about the 5 degrees of permeability?
Right, and that will, I'm sure, will be hopefully covered in that study, because I don't want to have to go find 10 more studies. But
and the land site is positioned on prime number 1, Corps of Engineer determined by their federal map.
And I'm sure there's a study there
Very
that,
permeable.
That hopefully you can find or point us in the right direction where we can go see it.
You
and
could,
I'm sure hopefully TCEQ will look at that. But the only study, to get back to my point, that I've been able to locate and ask anybody a question is from Blue Bonnet Groundwater Maintenance. And if y'all want to laugh under your breath, I would encourage everybody else here to go find their own study, because that's the only one I've been able to find. If individuals want to mock that one study, then I encourage them to bring us another one. Because that's what we want, that's what we're here to do, to get as much information as we can find. If there's another study, please bring it to us. Nobody has closed the door at the courthouse or any commissioner's court office and says we don't want any information. I've been in office 38 days. You know, give us a chance to get more information and help us. That's what we're trying to do. But again, by rescinding the host agreement in the ordinance, that doesn't change anything. And so, I would like to even see as part of the negotiations, and once we get that settlement sheet, is negotiations are supposed to be just that, negotiations, give and take. Is it possible to separate the 2013 ordinance from the host agreement? Anybody ask that question? I don't know. Lots of things are possible. Could we separate the two? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I can tell you, in 1 week I've been to 4 town hall meetings. I don't know if there's a contest for that, but I get the trophy. One thing that has been very apparent to me is that there's a lot of questions still out there. A lot of questions. I don't know all the answers, and I'm not even going to attempt to tell you that I do. I don't know all the answers. Most people in the public have a lot of questions. I think the best thing, and I know a judge is coming back, and there's no reason we can't ask him for more time, but I think we need more information to go to the public and say, hey, here's why we're going to settle. Again, the money's great, the protection is great, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I've seen one study on water. If there's more, then by God, we need to look at them. But I would hope that all the commissioners vote on hard evidence, not hearsay. Not hearsay, because hearsay will get us in trouble and will make us make a decision. It will probably be the wrong decision if we go off of what Joe down the street told us. Give us facts. If we don't have the facts, then you know what? We need to take a step back and go find the facts so we can make a decision that's in the best interest of this county. Not Katy, not Brookshire, not Hempstead, not Prairie View, not Pine Island, but a county as a whole. I saw in the Houston Chronicle that they were that they reported that we could possibly vote on this tomorrow. One of the issues that the jury found out that there was not proper notice given in agenda items for what was going to be voted on. How are we supposed to vote on something when we haven't even seen it? How are you, the public, supposed to give me your feedback, Commissioner Barnett or Judge Duhon or the other 2 members of Commissioner's Court, on a settlement agreement when y'all haven't even seen it? I want you to take it back home. Talk to it about with your spouse, your neighbors. See what you guys think about it, and then report back to us. Because we all work for you. But until you've seen it, how can you make your own conclusion? So, I mean, there's so many things going on in this county. I will be glad when we're done with this, because there's a lot of good things that we need to be working on. But again, you know, thank you guys for coming out. You may not agree with me at all, but no, let's see. But I didn't get to finish the part that I can respect your disagreement, but obviously I can't expect the same in return when I get snickered at. But I respect your disagreement with me, and I do. And I'm not going to call you names or anything like that, because that's your God-given right, and also as an American, you can disagree with me. And I will respect that right all day long. And I'll look you in the eye, shake your hand, and not doubt your character because you don't agree with me. That's the country that better men than me have fought and died for. And I think at the end of the day, this argument has gotten a little out of control. That we should be able to have respectful conversations as adults. Maybe that can or cannot happen, but that, yeah, I'm still not going to give up hope for it. But again, thank you guys for being here, and hopefully we get some good questions.
Now, I know we're going to open it to questions in just a second. I just want a few more words. I want to add. You know, it's important to keep in mind, and I guess this is some of my personal views. I'm not representing the court. There's a lot of discussion. Look, certain things I would never dispute. One, that host agreement has a lot of benefits in it. A lot. There's no doubt about that. Nobody's going to say, I'm not going to sneeze at $52 million. Okay? But for me, personally, I see a Waller County jury that says that this agreement was done illegally. That it was not done consistent with transparency laws. Now, what does that mean to me? And this is Trey. Because, again, I work for you guys. You all tell me to do something differently, I will do it. But what it means to me is, if this agreement was done in violation of Open Meetings Act, it means some of you were deprived of the opportunity to be present at the discussion of the policies, to hear the reasoning, to have input, to give your thoughts to your representatives. That's not what our country is about. So, for me, you can start talking about $52 million. You can make it $1 billion. As far as I'm concerned, it still cannot stand. Because I just personally believe when you start having those discussions and you say, but look how lucrative, look, wait, before you dismiss it out of hand, look how good it is. I think that's a slippery slope. I think that's how you get into these predicaments. I think that's how you get to these situations. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we wouldn't be having this debate right now if there hadn't been, if that host agreement that we're talking about right there had been done in consistent with open meetings, we would not be having this discussion right now. I would not be arguing why it shouldn't be there. But I also believe, and I'll just, again, my personal thing, I believe in our system. I know it's not the best, but it's, well, I'll say this, it may not be perfect. I don't want to say it's not. It is the best. Our system is the best. And I've looked at systems all over. I've been practicing law for 20 years. It is not by any means perfect. But it is what we have. And I'm a firm believer that often when you get a jury together and they spend 2 weeks of their time and they sit there and they listen to all of the evidence provided by both sides, they are in the best position to make a determination as to who's right, who's wrong, who's telling the truth, who's not, and what the facts are. And I have not seen anything that has told me that this jury was out of line, that it was a runaway jury, that they engaged in juror misconduct. I've spoken to a couple of the jurors since the trial. I've gotten a sense for how the jury was, where they were all from. I respect the jury system. I respect this verdict. If you tell me to do otherwise, I will absolutely do that. But that, again, that's my personal opinion. That's how it's a very principled approach. I want to avoid slippery slopes. I don't want to get into situations where we say, well, that was good enough. Why can't we do this one behind closed doors? I believe this last election spoke volumes. I believe that people don't want that anymore in this county. So this is an opportunity to say enough with that and to stop the bleeding. Okay? But
Judge, I would like to also add to that, since you said it, that this host agreement, regardless to what's in it, the fact of the matter is that it's here. It is here. Whether it's 52 million, whether it's a gazillion or whatever, the fact of the matter is that it's here, folks. And you all that don't know what's in it should read it so that you do know what's in it. Now, it's not whether you agree with it or not. That's not what I'm trying to get you to give an opinion on. What I'm trying to do is, what I'm asking you to do is to educate yourself about the host agreement. Educate yourself about it. If you still like it, if you like it, fine. If you don't like it, hey, that's fine too. But educate yourself about it so that you can make that determination if you do or not.
just out of curiosity, and we're going to open to questions. How many folks here have read the host agreement?
I read it.
Okay. It is on the homepage of the website?
How many have not?
Of the county's website? Okay.
Okay, before we go off too far,
Right,
I want
that's
to
fine.
talk to Commissioner Barnett, because you want us to educate ourselves, but you just now said, evidently you weren't politically active, you weren't involved in the community before you got elected, so you had no idea about this host agreement, but your first vote was against it. And now that you've educated yourself, so you voted on something without knowing what you voted for and didn't choose to abstain. I've talked to Commissioner Beckendorff because I watch how you vote on things. They had somebody come and want to put a roof on something. And his question was, we have 2 bids, one for $5,000 and one for $10,000. This is a big spread. We should find out what the difference is. I don't remember who else said, well, are we going to take that roof off when we redo or whatever they're going to do to it? And the answer was, gee, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. But you went ahead and gave him the money just the same without having any information about it. So don't you think you should educate yourself before you vote?
The reason, no, yeah, you're right, and that's exactly why I voted against it, because
Well,
I was
why did you vote the
not,
first time
because
without
I was not
educating
educated about it.
But
So,
why
man,
did
that's
you
just
vote
like
then?
if you. No, hold on, Judge. She had a legitimate question.
No, I just want it to stay
Yeah,
the
she had a
tone.
legitimate question. That's just like if you're going to buy a house. You're going to buy a house, and I drop a contract in front of you, and I say sign it, and you sign it without reading. Anything that happens within that contract, you're responsible for because you signed the contract.
But I wouldn't sign a contract without reading it.
And I did not either. That's why I voted against it.
But if you didn't know that, why did you even vote at all? That's all I'm asking.
Why
If you weren't
abstaining?
educated about it, why didn't you just?
Why abstain from a vote like this? Okay, it wasn't like I hadn't met with some of the citizens in reference to this, because some of those citizens are in this room tonight.
Okay,
And I met with some of those citizens in reference to this.
Okay.
And the citizens were against it.
but you just got through telling us.
I think he's giving you an answer.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Okay, I know there's a lot of questions. I'm just going to go down the road. Tracy.
Okay. So my question is,
And I ask everybody to try to keep your questions.
here's my question.
Yes.
What is our contingency plan? Because this whole thing may be out of your hands. Okay, our previous commissioners court took it out of our hands when they did it the way they did it to begin with. Okay, so the judge may come in a rule. All of this may be whatever. So what's our contingency plan? Let's say the judge comes in and says, all this is void, doesn't exist. What's the contingency plan?
I mean, if we don't enter into any settlement, there's a wide range of where the judge could come in. He might give attorney's fees. He may not do the declaratory judgment. He may do the findings. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. That's the problem. Question marks. Where are we going to come in? What is plan B? I mean, I could tell you if I can control this, if I can do a settlement that says takes the declaratory judgment off the table, our plan B is 2011 ordinance until we can, and then we start immediately working to get that way tighter than what it is. You know, or looking at other options. Start the comprehensive waste management plan, which still has not been done. Those are the things that we need. And that's the thing I've always been saying, what's our plan B? I've asked Commissioner's Court, the previous Commissioner's Court, if this doesn't go your way, what is the backup plan? What are we going to have? So, you know, that's the only thing I can tell you is that by working on a settlement, you're trying to get certain answers so that you know what we're dealing with. That way we know how to respond. Okay, we can go in here and do things. But it's hard for me to say where the judge is going to come in. If we do nothing and it's just put in front of the judge, you know, I don't want to have to come back to you and go, we should have settled. We should have settled. But instead, you guys got hit with an extra $500,000 in attorney's fees than what we could have settled for, or whatever it might be. I don't want to be in that situation because we can talk about preserving the host agreement all night long. Judge can still just go void. And by the way, let's just talk about settlement possibilities. How, as an attorney, how do we look at settlement? The way I do it, and a lot of attorneys do it, risk managers do it. You look at all your range possibilities and you assign probabilities to all of it. What's the chance that Cal gets everything they're asking for? Less than 5%. That we get judgment notwithstanding the verdict? Less than 5%. The other thing is somewhere in the middle, okay? So then that's how you go about determining what's a good settlement and what's not a good settlement. Because on the range of things, you're somewhere in that middle range, which is more likely what's going to be the outcome if you do nothing. Judge could order more attorney's fees. Maybe the judge orders less than what we settled. We're just trying to get a number that I believe it would be a reasonable number. That's discounting things. You know, these attorney's fees are way unreasonable. $450 an hour. I'm sorry, and with all due, and I know y'all got good attorneys. That's not what a typical rate in Waller County. $450 an hour. Trust me, I know. Yeah, I'm going to go down the road.
I just have a question about what you were saying about assigning probabilities. In your assessment, what is your personal assessment of what you think, whether the host agreement and the ordinance will be thrown up by the judge?
Okay, first you look at the facts of the case, and I look at the way this trial has gone. There has not been one point in this trial that has gone the county's way. That judge has ruled straight down the line for the county and for the city and for Cal every opportunity. Court of Appeals, Supreme Court have done the exact same thing.
And
So
that's because the facts were there to support it, right?
I mean, arguably, like I said, you have legal issues that are being argued, and you have the Supreme Court, which is the final say.
But the Supreme Court didn't look at the evidence that
They looked at all-
they looked at the
everything.
appeals that
Right.
stopped. So I mean, again, there's a million different scenarios that can play out.
No, you're in all fairness and honesty, Commissioner, that's a disrespect to those men or women who serve on that court. Factual evidence was presented to that court. That court looked at the evidence that was presented, and even after making a ruling, they came back to ask for another ruling with the full body, and even that was rejected, based on facts. And that's all it was. It was all factual. I understand what you're saying. It was purely factual. That's all I'm saying.
That's the same evidence that the special prosecutor.
No.
Is not.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No,
The
sir.
special prosecutor is wrong.
No, sir.
No,
God almighty.
Special prosecutor is
I
wrong.
Let's not go to
If we're so confident that it's done, then again, that's what we're here finding out. You tell us, and we'll settle it, and then we'll go. That it is what it is. I think we should take it and have the people.
And I think it should be pointed out there are different standards approved first in a civil matter versus a criminal matter. Second, I don't think anybody's privy to the actual information that the special prosecutors had. That's not an open file. I will say this, special prosecutors, that file hasn't been closed. You know, testimony and evidence that happened in the trial, they will also be taking that into consideration. So I don't know if anything's going to come of that or not. I do think it's different. You know, it's definitely, I think the bulk of evidence that was presented in a civil matter was done in December. But you do have differences, just like O.J. Simpson. He wasn't guilty of murder, but he got hit on the civil side, right? Two different standards.